Part 2. Immortal world is back, I am invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 11. Lin Zixuan was stunned. She couldn't be tricked. She obviously wanted to know about Su Yu's strange situation. As soon as the results came up, Su Yu said she was sick. This made her narrow her eyes slightly. Tell me, what disease do I have? Su Yu said calmly, if it weren't for the fact that you saved me once back then, I would be too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Confusion appeared on Lin Zixuan's face. How could you recognize me? Your eyes were gouged out at that time, so it was impossible for you to see my appearance. Su Yu sniffed, the fragrance on your body is very special, it should be something you are born with. Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes were filled with anger, this damn trapper. Just when she wanted to teach Su Yu a lesson. Since you were 18 years old, do you feel like there is a fire burning in your body every night? Su Yu asked casually. Lin Zixuan forgot to take action, and shock flashed across her face. Only she knows about this matter, even her parents don't know. Because it's too embarrassing. Seeing that Lin Zixuan didn't speak, Su Yu continued, to put it bluntly, do you miss men every night now? The secret was revealed. Lin Zixuan felt as if she had no clothes on in front of Su Yu. She suppressed her anger, what on earth do you want to say? Su Yu replied, you were born with an immortal body. This special physique will be completely awakened when you are 18 years old. It is this special physique that keeps you awake every night. Lin Zixuan's restraint is very strong. If it were an ordinary woman who had awakened her immortal body, she would have fought 300 rounds with different men every night. Can you treat my condition? The anger accumulated in Lin Zixuan's body dissipated, and her beautiful face showed a look of impatience. Now every night is equivalent to hellish torture for her. Su Yu nodded and said, it's actually very simple to treat your symptoms. Find a man who has practiced water skills to extinguish the fire for you. Not only will this allow you to return to normal at night, but your practice will also make rapid progress. The power of the immortal charming body can only be fully realized after you have a Taoist companion. Lin Zixuan, who listened very seriously at first, soon turned cold. This scoundrel is simply impudent. Do you want to say that you happen to practice water-based skills? Lin Zixuan gritted her silver teeth. Su Yu said calmly, I did practice water-based skills. In the 2000 years of immortal world, he has practiced countless techniques. The anger in Lin Zixuan's body surged, and she couldn't help but explode. A solemn voice came, Dean Lin, how long do you want our grandfather and grandson to wait? Lin Zixuan took a deep breath, you bastard, I will settle the score with you later. Say it. Her figure disappeared from the spot. The reason why Lin Zixuan didn't take Su Yu's life directly was because Su Yu was right about her situation. Su Yu looked innocent, this woman is really frizzy. I haven't finished speaking yet. She is simply dreaming if she wants me to treat her. Su Yu's cultivation level is astonishing. If Lin Zixuan marries him, Lin Zixuan will definitely take advantage. Fortunately, Lin Zixuan had taken a step earlier. If she had heard what Su Yu said, she would have definitely gone berserk on the spot. When Su Yu walked back to the square, I saw Lin Zixuan standing right in front of the square, with an old man and a young man beside her. Their faces were full of rebelliousness. They looked at the students of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy as if they were city people looking at country bumpkins. After Tang Yuxin saw Su Yu, she immediately greeted him, Su Yu, are you okay? Su Yu smiled and said, what can happen to me? Wang Menglu, who was following, asked in confusion, why did Dean Lin ask you to come alone to do this? Su Yu replied, she is sick. Tang Yuxin panicked and covered Su Yu's mouth with her right palm. Wang Menglu looked at Su Yu like an idiot, I know your cultivation level is within innate, but there are some things you shouldn't say nonsense. Be careful that trouble comes from your mouth. Tang Yuxin nodded and said, Suyu, Menlu is right. After she got closer, she continued to whisper, Dean Lin's temper is not very good. If she attacks you, no one here can stop her. Can you promise me? Don't scold Dean Lin behind his back from now on. Suyu nodded and agreed. These days, no one believes the truth. Tang Yuxin then put down her right palm. Zhang Wangxiang and Sun Mei had already taken Zhang Ya to treat the injuries on his face. Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes swept over everyone present, and she paused intentionally on Suyu. According to the speculations of many powerful people in Xiaokuyan department, the fourth space crack in Xia Kingdom is very likely to appear in our Linzhou recently. Nearby. By then, we in Linzhou will be in catastrophe. Space crack? A look of confusion appeared on Suyu's face. Tang Yuxin saw the change in expression on Suyu's face. Suyu, don't you know about the space crack? Seeing Suyu nod, she continued, since a year and a half ago, space cracks have appeared frequently around the world. Aliens will arrive on our Earth through space cracks. At first, we humans want to coexist peacefully with them, but they only want to kill us humans. Before this, 3 spatial rifts had appeared in Xia's country, and now those 3 places are guarded by strong men. Based on the current situation in Xia Kingdom, if a 4th space crack appears, I am afraid that we will not be able to send such strong people to come to Linzhou to guard it for the time being. When the time comes, Linzhou will probably be devastated. Suyu touched Tang Yuxin's head. Yuxin, don't worry, as long as I'm in Linzhou, what you said will never happen. Wang Menglo sneered, arrogant and arrogant. Even in Linzhou, with your innate realm cultivation, you can't walk sideways. You have no idea of the horrors of aliens. At the moment, there were various discussions all around. The students present learned that the 4th space rift in Xia might appear near Linzhou. One by one they fell into panic. Lin Zixuan shouted sweetly, as a Chinese nation, our bodies have blood that will never shrink back. We monks should face difficulties head on. There are countless ordinary people in the city of Linzhou. As monks, we must shoulder the responsibility of protecting them. Some students present suggested that everyone in Linzhou could be moved to other cities. When Lin Zixuan heard this, she looked solemn. If the space crack really appears in Linzhou, we will be the first line of defense here. There is simply no time to relocate the entire city in a short period of time. This will only make more people panic and cause even greater chaos. Hear the words. The students and teachers present were all dejected and stopped talking. Immortal world is back, I am invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 12. The breeze blows. Warm sunshine pours on the earth. But everyone in Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy Square felt cold all over. The 3 space cracks that once appeared in Xia's country are all very far away from Linzhou. These teachers and students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy have never been to the front lines of the battlefield. Aliens are an unknown fear to them. The alien races that come out of each space crack are different, and some alien races even like to devour humans alive. Lin Zixuan knew that these people needed to adapt. She introduced, the 2 standing next to me are from the Immortal Martial Academy. This time they brought the 7-colored fairy tower from the Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital in order to improve our strength as soon as possible. The eyes of the teachers and students present brightened up, and their faces finally regained some vitality. Next. Under Lin Zixuan's detailed introduction, everyone knew that the old man in green robe was Yan Chuan, a senior teacher at the Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital. The young man next to him is his grandson Yanji. They came here purely to take care of the 7-color Immortal Tower. The imperial capital Immortal Martial Academy only lent the 7-color Immortal Tower to Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy for 6 days. When the deadline is up, Yan Chuan and Yanji will return to the imperial capital with the colorful Immortal Pagoda. Wang Menglo's beautiful eyes condensed, it seems that there is a high probability that the fourth space crack will appear near Linzhou. Otherwise, the Immortal Martial Academy would never lend us the seven-colored Immortal Tower to improve our strength. Tang Yuxin strongly agreed with Wang Menglu's statement. Su Yu's eyes were fixed on Yan Chuan and Yan Ji. Facing the expectant looks of most people, Yan Chuan was very satisfied. He looked at everyone with a proud face. Originally, you people from Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy will never have the chance to enter the seven-colored Immortal Tower. Our imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy, has given you this opportunity. You should seize the opportunity. While talking, Yan Chuan turned his withered right palm over, and a small tower appeared in his palm. Dean Lin, help me. Yan Chuan threw the small tower into the air. At the same time, he aimed his right palm at the small tower, and the rich spiritual energy in his body was injected into the small tower through the air. Lin Zixuan did not hesitate. She also pointed her palm at the small tower and continuously injected spiritual energy into the small tower. Just a few seconds. The small tower grows larger at a speed visible to the naked eye. Bang! When the small tower becomes the size of a normal 7-story tower and falls on the ground, the whole square shook. There were beads of sweat on the foreheads of Yan Chuan and Lin Zixuan, and it looked like they had spent a lot of spiritual energy. Tang Yuxin whispered to Su Yu and said, "This 7-color fairy tower was obtained by the strong men from the Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital in an ancient ruins. It is said that the tower is full of mysteries. The higher the level of cultivation, the more difficult the tower will be. So far, no one has been able to reach the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower." Su Yu looked at the runes on the tower. Perhaps in the distant past, the earth also had an extremely brilliant civilization of cultivating immortals. But later, for some unknown reason, the civilization of cultivating immortals was cut off, and human beings embarked on a technological civilization. In the past 100 years or so, with the revival of spiritual energy, the discontinued civilization of cultivating immortals has been resurrected. That's quite interesting. How brilliant was the Earth civilization of cultivating immortals in the past? Su Yu muttered to himself. When everyone couldn't wait to enter the 7 colorful Immortal Tower, Yan Ji, wearing luxurious clothes, walked towards Su Yu. Everyone's eyes followed Yan Ji, and they wisely moved out of the way. When Yan Ji stopped in front of Su Yu, many people speculated that Su Yu might be in trouble. "I heard that you just verbally humiliated Song Ruian." Yan Ji just learned something about the life and death fight between Su Yu and Su Chang through the discussions among many students. Tang Yuxin and Su Yu stood side by side, and she looked at Yan Ji with a cold face. Wang Menglu didn't back down for Tang Yuxin's sake. The two women frowned tightly. Lin Zixuan looked at the scene with an unhappy look on her face. Although she hates Su Yu as a prostitute, she is the dean of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy, and this is her territory. Knowing that she had just talked with Su Yu alone, Yan Ji dared to make things difficult for Su Yu without saying hello to her, which showed that he didn't take her seriously. Yan Chuan looked like an old god and had no intention of scolding Yan Ji. Su Yu looked indifferent. "So what?" Yan Ji sneered, "Just admit it. In the imperial capital, Mr. Qin takes good care of me. His fiancée is also my sister-in-law. I have heard more than once that when my sister-in-law was in Tianhai, there was a toad that often pestered her. Is that toad you?" Tang Yuxin said angrily, "Compared with Su Yu, you are a toad." Su Yu and Song Ruian had a marriage contract back then, but Song Ruian didn't keep his promise. Yan Ji laughed, "Haha, sister, I think you look pretty good, why do you want to follow such a loser? My sister-in-law said that she had no choice but to get engaged to this toad. The most disgusting person in her life is this toad." "A toad?" Su Yu frowned slightly. At the beginning of that year, he and Song Ruian hugged each other to keep each other warm. At that time, he thought he had found someone who could stay with him for the rest of his life, So he racked his brains to help Song Ruian remove the weird birthmark on his face. During this period, he could even disregard his own life. But in the end, he was the only one who was the clown. So you could understand that Song Ruian wanted a better life, but this woman shouldn't slander him behind his back. He should not get together with Qin Tian's. With the power of the Song family, Song Ruian must know that the eyes that Qin Tian's has now belong to him, Su Yu. Seeing Su Yu's cold expression, Yan Ji said disdainfully, "What? Are you not convinced? I don't need my cultivation level to suppress you. The two of us will compete with each other on the seven-colored Immortal Tower to see who can reach a higher level. The loser will have his arm cut off." Yan Ji twisted his arms and continued, "When I came to Linzhou from the imperial capital, I happened to see you, a toad. I will help Master Qin teach you a lesson. 10 Spirit Partitioning Secrets in the Colorful Immortal Tower." As a student of the Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital, Yan Ji must have entered the Immortal Tower more than once. This is very detrimental to Su Yu. Tang Yuxin reminded, "Su Yu, don't promise him." Lin Zixuan looked coldly at Yan Chuan beside her, "Don't you try to persuade your grandson." Yan Chuan said nonchalantly, "Young people, you should be more energetic. A small competition can promote the growth of both parties. Dean Lin, let's not get involved in junior matters." Lin Zixuan was very angry. She sent a secret message to Su Yu, "As long as you don't agree, no one will dare to attack you here." Su Yu glanced at Lin Zixuan in confusion. This woman cared about him very much. Do you really want him to take action? Boy, do you want to listen to a woman? Are you not weaned yet? Yan Ji laughed. Su Yu shrugged and asked, "Is your surname Fu?" Yan Ji sneered, "Boy, don't you have ears? Dean Lin just introduced me, my name is Yan Ji." Su Yu said calmly, "I think your surname is Fu is more appropriate." Wang Menglu on the side couldn't help but muttered, "Fu Yanjia. Fu Yanji." She was holding back a smile. "Fu Yanjia, you first? Or me first?" Su Yu said indifferently. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Immortal World is back, I am invincible." Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 13. Yan Ji's face was filled with anger. "You are a trash who only uses your words. A waste like you is as small as dust in front of me." He stepped out, and a surge of momentum burst out from his body. The energy is raging around. The faces of those who were originally laughing because of the name Fu Yanjia suddenly changed. The aura on Yan Ji's body is so terrifying. He has definitely reached innate realm great consummation. Su Chen, who fought against Su Yu before, was only at the 9th level of Qi condensation realm. Many people present concluded that although Su Yu was in the innate realm, it was unlikely to reach the great consummation. Bang! The stone bricks under Yan Ji's feet turned into powder. "I will enter the 7-color Immortal Tower first. I'll give you more time to prepare, don't say I bully you." Then he said coldly, "Lu Lin, where are you? Where have you gone?" Soon a figure stepped out from the crowd. His entire face was hidden in his hood, and no one could see his appearance clearly. "Don't you have the face to see people?" Yan Ji pulled off the hood on the man's head and mocked, "My shoes are dirty, kneel on the ground and wipe them clean." I saw that this man could not be more than 30 years old at most, but he had a sloppy beard on his face and looked very decadent. The students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy stared at this person for a long time. Unbelievable sounds erupted from the crowd. "He is our senior Lu Lin from Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy. Senior Lu Lin was once called the #1 genius of our Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy in a century. How could he fall to this level? I heard that 2 years ago, Senior Lu Lin transferred to the imperial capital Immortal Martial Academy through connections. At that time, we all agreed that Senior Lu Lin could soar to the sky through this. Why is he like this? There were many fans of Lu Lin present. There are too many legends about Lu Lin in Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy. He is the belief and goal of most students in the academy. But in the end, their faith turned into followers of the students of Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital. Lu Lin didn't speak. He knelt on the ground silently and wiped Yan Ji's shoes with his sleeves. The seven-colored fairy tower is a sacred place, and we must have a pilgrim heart. After Yan Ji saw that his shoes had been wiped clean, he stepped on Lu Lin's head. This is a rare genius from your Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy in a century. After he entered our imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy, he was only qualified to be a dog by our side. Yan Ji looked at Su Yu and said with a smile, "This genius of yours in Linzhou has reached the peak of innate. Do you think you will be better than him?" So far, he has entered the seven-color Immortal Tower 6 times, and he has never been able to enter the second level once. Being able to light up the first floor is his limit. The so-called geniuses you have here in Linzhou are only at the lowest level in the imperial capital. Are you starting to despair? He likes to slowly toy with his prey, leaving it in despair, and finally mentally collapses on its own. Yan Ji brought Lu Lin to the state purely to show the superiority of their imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy. Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes were burning with anger. Yan Chuan on the side said with a smile, "Dean Lin, please forgive me, my grandson is used to being straightforward." He didn't take Yan Ji's disguised humiliation of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy to heart at all. More and more students present became aggrieved. Tang Yuxin and Wang Menglu were full of disgust for Yan Ji. After feeling the unkind glances, Yan Ji said coldly, 10 days ago, the competition between the top 5 prestigious schools in the Xia Kingdom between the earthly rankings and the heavenly rankings just ended. After 10 o'clock this morning, the relevant departments will announce the official rankings of the Dibang and Tianbang. He looked down at the time on his watch, it's just past 10 o'clock. In the competition between the earthly ranking and the heavenly ranking, only students from the top 5 prestigious schools can participate. From the perspective of the 5 prestigious schools, even if other Immortal Martial Academy students in Xia China participate, it is just a waste of time. All the students participating in the battle for the Earth ranking must have at least the early stage of innate cultivation. As for the students participating in the battle for the heavenly ranking, almost all of them are terrifying geniuses in the innate realm world. The students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy took out their mobile phones one after another. They opened the relevant website and saw the official list of relevant names. In the local rankings, Yan Ji ranked 10th. They looked down the list and saw Lu Lin's name at the 99th position on the list. Only the top 100 places are included in the list. Lu Lin is the pride of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy, and he possesses peak innate cultivation. He almost didn't make it into the top 100 in the rankings. Are the geniuses from the top 5 schools really that scary? Many students in the square were shocked and lost their confidence, and they became confused about their future path of cultivation. Yan Ji had a rebellious look on his face. He kicked Lu Lin to the ground and looked at Su Yu with cold eyes, slowly enjoy the taste of despair. You're going to lose an arm soon. Without waiting for Su Yu to speak, his figure rushed towards the 7-colored Immortal Tower and entered the first floor of the Immortal Tower. For those who enter the tower, after passing the first floor of the fairy tower will light up in dazzling red. By analogy, each time you pass a floor, a different color will light up. There are a total of 7 different colors in the 7 floors of the fairy tower. About 10 minutes later, the first floor of the Immortal Tower burst into a dazzling red color. Tang Yuxin said worriedly, Su Yu, why did you agree? Although the higher the cultivation level of the tower breaker, the greater the difficulty. From this perspective, it is absolutely fair. But Yan Ji is more familiar with the 7-color Immortal Tower than you. Besides, he can enter the top 10 of the Earth rankings. His talent is very terrifying. Wang Mengele frowned. Suyu, Yanji comes from the imperial capital. If you lose to him, not even Dean Lin can save your arm. You're too reckless. The world is a big place, and there are many people who are better than you. Suyu said with an indifferent expression, Yuxin, don't worry, I will definitely set foot on the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower. When Lu Lin heard what Suyu said, he got up from the ground, ignorant. The current record is that someone lit up the 5th floor of the Immortal Tower. You actually said that you wanted to set foot on the 7th floor. Do you know what the 7th level means? The Dean of the Immortal Martial Academy in the Imperial Capital said that those who can reach the 7th level have the qualities of an immortal. Seeing that Suyu was indifferent, Lu Lin continued, every time you step into the 7-color Immortal Tower, the situation you encounter will not be the same. It's full of mechanisms, formations, etc. It's difficult to pass the test of the sky. I was as naive as you, thinking that the Immortal Martial Academy was nothing special. It wasn't until I went there that I realized how ridiculous I was. You'll soon have your confidence shattered like mine. While he was speaking, the 2nd floor of the 7-colored Immortal Tower was lit up, and the orange light blinded people's eyes. Another 20 minutes later, the 3rd layer burst out with a golden color, and Yanji lit up the 3rd layer. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment and then said, you will definitely lose. In the past, Yanji lit up the 2nd floor at most, but today he performed exceptionally well and lit up the 3rd floor. You have no chance of winning. Panting, Yanji walked out of the 7-color Immortal Tower. He was soaked in sweat and looked extremely embarrassed. But his mental state was very good, with a proud smile on his lips. Trash, are you desperate now? Yanji stared at Suyu coldly. Immortal world is back, I am invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 14. Snap, snap, snap. Yan Chuan clapped his hands with a smile on his face, not bad, not bad. You are indeed my good grandson, Yan Chuan. You have made progress again. In the imperial capital Immortal Martial Academy, ascending to the higher levels of the 7-color Immortal Tower means that more training resources can be obtained. Lin Zixuan once again sent a secret message to Suyu, Deng disciple, as long as you don't step into the tower, the winner will not be determined, and I have an excuse to protect you. Do you understand? She didn't know why she cared about Suyu. Maybe Suyu knew her secret, and she wanted to know more from Suyu. Before meeting Suyu, she had never heard of the immortal body. Others didn't know that Lin Zixuan was transmitting messages to Suyu alone. All the students present at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy did not dare to look into Yanji's sharp eyes. Senior Lu Lin, who was once invincible at the same level in the academy and could even defeat his opponents by leapfrogging, could only light up the 1st floor of the Immortal Tower. It seems that Yanji is worthy of his reputation as one of the top 10 on the list. Suyu had no hope of winning at all. Tang Yuxin's expression was tense. She held Suyu's sleeve tightly with her right hand, unwilling to let go. Suyu looked at Lin Zixuan. Their eyes just collided. Lin Zixuan glared at Suyu. Suyu stretched. He was willing to put down his body and compete with Yanji simply because he was interested in the Earth's ancient civilization of cultivating immortals. In addition, Yanji repeatedly provoked him and wanted to break his arm for Qin Tian's and Songruyan. Naturally, he would not let Yanji go. Is it something to be proud of being on the 3rd floor? Seeing how you look like a villain, no wonder you can only stay in the innate realm now. I'm going to the 7th floor and be prepared to cut off an arm. Suyu wanted to walk towards the colorful Immortal Tower. Tang Yuxin pulled him and kept shaking her head. Lin Zixuan cursed secretly, this ungrateful bastard, does he really want to become a cripple? I'm too lazy to care about him anymore. After Yanji was stunned for a moment, he burst out laughing, trash, Look what you said. You want to step onto the 7th floor of the 7-colored Immortal Tower? Did I hear you correctly? If you could light up the 7 colors of the fairy tower, let alone cut off an arm, I would cut off my limbs on the spot. It's a pity that you are talking nonsense. Yan Chuan looked at Lin Zixuan calmly. Dean Lin, this guy from Linzhou has a very loud tone. Climb to the 7th floor and light up all 7 colors of the Immortal Tower. Does he really think he is worthy of being an immortal? If his words spread, your entire Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy will become a joke for others. Lin Zixuan remained silent, a cold light flashing in her beautiful eyes. Su Yu gently patted the back of Tang Yuxin's hand. Yuxin, don't you even believe me? Su Yu, never tell lies. Tang Yuxin looked hesitant. From the time she met Su Yu until now, Su Yu had never said anything rude to her. Thinking of this, she stopped pulling on Su Yu's sleeves. If you become disabled, I will take care of you for the rest of your life. This is the only thing she can say to Su Yu now. Wang Menglu looked at Su Yu walking towards the Immortal Tower, and asked Tang Yuxin, Xiao Xingxin, do you really believe that he can surpass Yan Ji and set foot on the 4th floor of the Immortal Tower? Tang Yuxin bit her lip. I just don't want anything to happen to him. As long as he can climb to the 4th floor, I am willing to shorten his life by 100 years. She was praying to God. Wang Menglu shook her head helplessly. Her best friend was really a stupid woman. In the sun. Su Yu stopped in front of the colorful Immortal Tower. Trash, are you scared? Didn't you say you wanted to set foot on the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower? Why don't you go in? I'm waiting for you to break the record. Yan Ji laughed. Su Yu didn't look back. He said calmly, who is born to be strong? Those people in the imperial capital may have a higher starting point than you, but you are no worse than them. Ants can also roar into the sky. Not to mention you. Cultivating immortals is essentially going against nature. Competing with people, fighting with the earth, fighting with the sky, what we fight for is the chance to become an immortal. If you even deny yourself, you are destined to be a waste for the rest of your life. Finished. He walked into the 7 colorful Immortal Tower. When he first transmigrated to the immortal world, he lost his eyes and had his immortal bones extracted, and he was struggling. He still relied on his perseverance to get to where he is today step by step. Just now, he just wanted to cheer up these dejected juniors on a whim. The students from Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy present raised their heads and looked at the gate of the Immortal Tower. Su Yu's words kept echoing in their ears. Yes. The road to immortality is to sail against the current. Maybe they are now better than those geniuses in Bulletin Chengdu, but this does not mean that they will be left behind for the rest of their lives. Su Yu, I will support you to the end when I say this to you. You must create a miracle. Yes, fuck him, the top 10 on the local rankings are nothing. Come on Su Yu. Su Yu will win. For a time, all the students who were originally lifeless came to life. Lin Zixuan smiled knowingly and whispered to herself, this disciple is quite inspiring. Turn around. Her eyebrows wrinkled again. Ants can also roar into the sky. Wang Menglu muttered the sentence repeatedly. After a moment, she said, Xiao Xingxin, I hope your loved one is safe and well. Lu Lin looked at the rising atmosphere and said inappropriately, it's useless, you don't understand the horror of the test in the Immortal Tower. I once couldn't light up the 2nd floor even if I risked my life. Ants are just ants after all, they look extremely small under the sky. As soon as these words came out, the voices cheering for Su Yu all around became much lower. Yan Ji smiled in a good mood and said, no matter how good your words are, it's useless. We monks need to rely on our true ability to speak. Your former idol, Lu Lin, has a profound understanding of what reality is. I think you all should learn from him. Yan Ji stretched his arms. I guess this piece of trash can't even light up the 1st layer. You guys. But he hasn't finished speaking yet. The first floor of the seven-color Immortal Tower bloomed with dazzling red light. Yanji's smile froze slightly. After a few seconds, he continued, I'm sure lighting up the first floor is his limit. Now all the eyes present are focused on the seven-colored Immortal Tower. At the same time, inside the Immortal Tower, as soon as Suyu stepped into it, all the mechanisms and formations inside disappeared in an instant. A square jade pendant floated in front of him. This is the core of the colorful Immortal Tower. In the past, the Immortal Tower was an ownerless thing, but if Suyu mastered this core, the Immortal Tower would be an ownerless thing from now on. The colorful Immortal Tower must have sensed Suyu's terror, so it took the initiative to surrender and recognize its master. Suyu held the jade pendant in his hand and quickly passed through the layers of the fairy tower. Until the seventh floor. Here are the phantoms of hundreds of beasts, including dragons and phoenixes. At the moment, they were all kneeling on the ground respectfully in front of Suyu. As he quickly climbed one level after another, there was silence outside. There is only the rustling sound of the leaves in the breeze. The layers of light on the fairy tower were lit up. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue and purple. When the seventh layer of rich purple light was lit, Yanji almost couldn't catch his breath. His eyes were so wide that it seemed as if they were about to fall out of their sockets. Immortal world is back, I am invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 15. After a while. I don't know who took a breath of air. Then, there were gasps of air conditioning in the square. Wang Menglu bit her lip hard, and after confirming that this was not an illusion, she breathed quickly and said to herself, Suyu actually climbed to the top of the fairy tower. Does he have the qualities of an immortal? The words fell. The entire colorful fairy tower trembled. A seven-colored light rushed out from the top of the tower. Bang! The light shot straight into the sky, then exploded suddenly, dyeing the sky above Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy into seven colors. The nearby spiritual energy from heaven and earth gathered towards the academy. Not a moment. The concentration of heaven and earth spiritual energy in the academy increased by more than 5 times. Nowadays, the places occupied by the 5 famous schools are all spiritual cultivation treasures. The richer the spiritual energy, the more beneficial it is to the monk's practice. This is one of the reasons why students from the 5 top universities are improving rapidly. Right now, the spiritual energy in Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy has increased by more than 5 times. This will definitely not be worse than the cultivation treasure land occupied by the 5 famous schools. What a strong aura! I feel like my bottleneck is loosening, and I have a tendency to break through. Is this the reward given by the Immortal Tower when Suyu stepped onto the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower? If we can maintain this concentration of spiritual energy in our college, we will definitely be able to catch up with people from the 5 most prestigious schools in the future. From today on, Suyu is my idol. Long live Suyu! Long live Suyu! The students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy were in a state of excitement. They once regarded Lu Lin as their faith. After Lu Lin let them down, they now regard Suyu as their faith. Their belief is crazy and far exceeds their worship of Lu Lin back then. Tang Yuxin pursed her lips tightly, and she finally recovered from the shock just now. Suyu really didn't lie, he really beat Yanji. And they won by crushing them. Lu Lin's eyes were dull, as if he had lost his soul. He was very clear about the difficulty of the 7 colorful Immortal Tower. It would be a miracle if Suyu could reach the 4th level and defeat Yanji. So Suyu climbed to the 7th floor and broke the highest record for climbing the tower. This cannot be described as a miracle. Fear. This is really scary. Tang Yuxin had heard many legends about Lu Lin in the academy. Originally, she had great admiration for this genius who was rare in the academy for a century. But after this incident, All she had left in her heart was contempt for Lu Lin. Senior Lu, the torture Su Yu suffered in the past is unimaginable to you. You just said that ants are just ants after all. I want to say now that as long as you are willing to work hard, ants will grow to the point where they can shake the world. You shouldn't bow to the people of the imperial capital, and you shouldn't let them crush your dignity. Tang Yuxin said indifferently. Lu Lin looked up and saw the brilliant 7 colors in the sky, which kept him silent for a long time. Lin Zixuan's eyes were fixed on Yan Chuan. She also didn't expect that the disciple would be able to set foot on the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower. The most important thing is bringing such a change to her college. She guessed that Yan Chuan must be very unhappy, and she wanted to be wary of Yan Chuan suddenly attacking Su Yu. Just as she expected. The dry palms under Yan Chuan's sleeves were tightly clenched into fists, and veins popped up on the backs of his hands. The indifference on his face had long since disappeared. You can't keep this kid. Yan Chuan said secretly in his heart. If Su Yu, who has the talent of an immortal, is allowed to rise, Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy will become the #1 academy in Xia Kingdom. Today's top 5 universities can only succumb to it. Unless Su Yu can be dragged into the Immortal Martial Academy. Yan Chuan kept thinking in his mind. The 7 colors in the sky are gradually disappearing. The concentration of heaven and earth spiritual energy in Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy has not been diluted. It seems that this area has really become a treasure land for cultivation. In the eyes of everyone, Su Yu walked out of the 7 colorful Immortal Tower. The warm sunshine shone on his body, he stretched and yawned. Tang Yuxin was the first to run up to Su Yu. You won, you really won. Wang Menglu ran over. Su Yu smiled and touched Tang Yuxin's head. I'm not lying, am I? Tang Yuxin puffed her lips. Now every time Su Yu touches her head, she feels like she is a little sister in front of Su Yu. It was obvious that she had been taking care of Su Yu back then. Yan Ji pointed at Su Yu angrily, his whole face looked extremely ferocious. Trash, you cheated. You must have cheated. It's impossible for a piece of trash like you to set foot on the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower. Why do you have the qualifications of an immortal? Su Yu said calmly, you said I cheated. Don't say I won't give you a chance. As a member of the Immortal Martial Academy, you know the Immortal Tower better than I do. Go in now and show me a cheat. As long as you can step onto the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower like me, I can regard you as the winner. Yan Ji suddenly lost his temper. There are no shortcuts to the Immortal Ascension Tower. He just said Su Yu was cheating because he was not convinced. Now how to do? Su Yu walked up to Yan Ji step by step. You climb to the 3rd floor of the Immortal Tower. This is the limit of your ability. I climbed to the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower. This is not the limit of my ability, because the Immortal Tower only has 7 floors. He looked bored. I have already lit up the 7th floor of the Fairy Tower, now it is your turn to cut off your limbs on the spot. Yan Ji couldn't help but take a few steps back. He turned back and looked at Yan Chuan in the distance. Lin Zixuan said coldly, let me handle the junior's affairs by myself. You probably haven't forgotten what you said, right? The wrinkled skin on Yan Chuan's face twitched. He was very aware of Lin Zixuan's strength and temper, so he could only express his dissatisfaction with a cold snort. Grandfather! Yan Ji couldn't help shouting. Yan Chuan scolded, look what you look like. Such a little thing scares you. You have to remember that you are a genius from the Immortal Martial Academy in the Imperial City, and you have the support of the entire Immortal Martial Academy in the Imperial City. Seeing Yan Chuan, Lin Zixuan still spoke. She narrowed her eyes slightly, and a terrifying aura erupted from her body, pressing hard on Yan Chuan's body. Yan Chuan suddenly felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him, his back was bending, and traces of blood began to flow from the corners of his mouth. Dean Lin, don't go too far. Yan Chuan gritted his teeth. A cold light flashed in Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes, and she retracted her explosive momentum. Yan Ji didn't notice the changes on his grandfather's side. After Yan Chuan's reminder, he suddenly felt confident. Yes. He is a genius from the Immortal Martial Academy in the Imperial Capital. He does not need to be afraid of a waste from Linzhou. Trash, I won't cut off my limbs. But I can give you a chance to do something to me. I'll just stand here and let you destroy my limbs. Do you dare to do it? Yan Ji had a proud sneer on his face. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Immortal World is back, I am invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 16. A gust of wind blew. The sun was blocked by clouds and the sky suddenly turned cloudy. Many students from Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy present were secretly scolding Yan Ji for being despicable. Currently, the Immortal Martial Academy in the Imperial Capital is indeed not something they can offend. If Suyu crippled Yan Ji's limbs in public, it would be a slap in the face of the Immortal Martial Academy. Suyu, you have already won. Even if you don't take action against Yan Ji, no one here will laugh at you. Yes, we are all your loyal supporters. You have the talent of an immortal, and you will definitely be able to soar into the sky in the future. The people from the Imperial Capital are too despicable. Don't be fooled. The students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy spoke to each other. They were purely thinking about Suyu. Tang Yuxin said, Suyu, now is not the time for you to get into trouble. You are shining enough today. Wang Menglu nodded and said, Xiao Xingxin is right. Suyu, don't joke with your life. Immortal Martial Academy has always been domineering. There is no need for you to be angry just to save face. Suyu always looked calm. He looked at Yan Ji, who looked arrogant. If he were an ordinary person, he might not really be able to settle the matter. However, everyone present had no idea how terrifying his strength was. Lu Lin stared at Suyu with burning eyes. There was a hint of expectation in his eyes, and he didn't know what he was looking forward to. Seeing that the time was almost up, Yan Chuan said, Xiaja, apologize to Suyu and admit that you lost. Yan Ji looked at his grandfather with a confused look on his face. He had no intention of apologizing at all. Yan Chuan didn't force it either. He said this just to express his attitude to Suyu. Suyu, are you willing to join the Immortal Martial Academy in our imperial capital? I can promise to give you the training resources for core students. You will definitely shine in our imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy. Yan Chuan was all smiles. Yan Ji was about to ask a question, but Yan Chuan gave him a sharp look. Only then did Yan Ji swallow what he wanted to say. Suyu, who has the talent of an immortal, is indeed worthy of being recruited by the Immortal Martial Academy. He was extremely unwilling, and his hands suddenly clenched into fists. Immortal Martial Academy is the highest institution that every young person dreams of entering. Yan Ji believed that Suyu would not refuse. I'm afraid that today's events will really come to an end here. He relaxed and adjusted his emotions before saying, Suyu, we will be classmates from now on. You are different from that loser Lu Lin. With your qualifications, you can definitely have a place in the Immortal Martial Academy. Tang Yuxin moved her lips. She wanted to speak, but in the end she didn't. The Imperial Capital Immortal Martial Academy is indeed better than the Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy. She couldn't stop Suyu from pursuing a bright future. Wang Menglu patted Tang Yuxin on the shoulder and whispered, Xiao Xingxin, after Suyu joins the Immortal Martial Academy, his future will be immeasurable. The students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy felt an indescribable feeling of discomfort and frustration. But no one spoke to stop Suyu. Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes kept flashing. Lu Lin sighed and said to himself, Is that it? The smile on Yan Chuan's face became even brighter when he thought that Suyu would definitely join the Immortal Martial Academy. Suyu suddenly moved. Yan Ji, who was standing carelessly, was suddenly startled. Seeing Suyu's punch, he had no time to dodge. Bang! Click, click, click. The bones in Yan Ji's right arm were instantly shattered by Suyu. Suyu didn't pause. Amidst Yan Ji's painful screams, he smashed the bones in Yan Ji's left arm again. Who said I was going to join the Immortal Martial Academy? Suyu kicked out and hit Yan Ji's right knee. Click, click, click. A huge force burst out from Suyu's right foot, instantly shattering the bones in Yan Ji's right leg. He fell to the ground and rolled over, the severe pain making him roll his eyes. Who do you think you are? I, Suyu, wouldn't dare to attack an ant like you. Are you dreaming? Suyu stepped on Yan Ji's head. Quiet. Extremely quiet. At this moment, all eyes were focused on Suyu. More than a minute later, the crowd erupted in cheers. Suyu actually ignored Immortal Martial Academy's solicitation and directly eliminated the top talent from Immortal Martial Academy. This is tantamount to ruining one's own future. But the scene before them was too exciting for the students of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy. Suyu is awesome. Tang Yuxin stepped forward and grabbed Suyu's arm, saying, "You are so impulsive again." There was no blaming tone in her words. It seemed that Suyu like this was the one she liked. Wang Menglu shook her head and said, "You are really messing around. However, I like your temper. From now on, you will be my friend, Wang Menglu." Before that, she stood by Suyu's side without hesitation for the sake of Tang Yuxin. Now she really starts to admire Suyu. Lin Zixuan's figure moved and stopped in front of Yan Chuan. She was in a very good mood now. "Bitch, you dare to cripple my grandson, I'm going to kill you." Yan Chuan's face was filled with anger, and his aura kept rising. "Dean Lin, get out of my way." Lin Zixuan remained motionless. "This is Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy, not your imperial capital. Are you sure you want to take action here?" Yan Chuan gritted his teeth harder and harder, as if he wanted to crush his whole mouth of teeth. As a senior teacher at the Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital, he had never been so angry before. "Dean Lin, do you know what you are doing?" Yan Chuan threatened. Lin Zixuan smiled calmly and said, "I know exactly what I am doing." Seeing that the threat was useless, Yan Chuan's chest heaved violently in anger. Suyu stepped on Yan Ji's mouth. "Stop barking. It's so noisy." With his mouth being stepped on, Yan Ji could only make a low whine. Suyu said to Tang Yuxin, "People must always be responsible for the promises they make. Say it." He looked at Lu Lin and continued, "Do you have the guts to crush his left leg? I'll leave this left leg to you." Lu Lin came over. Suyu said calmly, "After you crush his left leg, you may be hunted by the Immortal Martial Academy in the future. Whether you want to take this step or not is up to you to decide." He saw that Lu Lin had some talent. Now that the Earth has been invaded by aliens, since he has returned to the Earth, he is willing to help China cultivate some strong people. Lu Lin looked at Yan Ji struggling on the ground. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, his eyes became a little brighter. Without any more nonsense, Suyu gave him confidence and regained his passion. Lifting his right foot, his peak innate aura reached its peak. Stomping down hard. Click, click, click. The bones in Yan Ji's left leg were shattered. Lu Lin's temperament changed and he regained his confidence. The bottleneck that was troubling him was instantly opened, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth gathered towards his body. He made an unstoppable breakthrough from the peak of innate to the great perfection of innate. Seeing this, Suyu nodded with satisfaction and said secretly in his heart, "You can teach me. Immortal world is back, I am invincible." Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 17. The aura around Lu Lin was extremely violent. He was dressed casually and looked down at Yan Ji on the ground. From today on, I quit the Immortal Martial Academy. I will crush those who have humiliated me with my fists. Su Yu moved his feet away from Yan Ji's mouth. Ah! A hoarse scream came from Yan Ji's throat. The bones in his limbs were shattered one after another, and the pain made him worse than death. Lu Lin, you dare to touch my grandson. I will let you die without a burial place. Yan Chuan roared. He took one step forward, the stone bricks exploded, and the rubble was suspended in front of him. Every piece of rubble is condensed with terrifying penetrating power. When the nearby students sensed the horror inside the pieces of rubble, they were shocked. Lin Zixuan waved her right arm. Bang! All the gravel turned into powder in the air at the same time. Yan Chuan made a muffled sound in his throat, and his face turned pale. Yan Ji lost to Su Yu. Isn't it normal for his limbs to be crippled? Are the people from your imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy, so incapable of having fun? The gaze in Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes was as cold as ice. Yan Chuan felt very uncomfortable inside, and he gasped slightly. With Lin Zixuan here, it would be impossible for him to take action against Su Yu and Lu Lin. Yan Chuan looked at his grandson who was still alive. His expression was as ferocious as an evil ghost in hell. Lu Lin paid no attention to Yan Chuan. He bowed deeply to Su Yu and said, "Brother Su, thank you for your advice. It's you who made me think clearly." Judging from appearance, Su Yu is younger than him. In order to show respect for Su Yu, he called him Brother Su. Su Yu had lived in the immortal world for 2,000 years, and he didn't take Lu Lin's title to heart. The road to cultivating immortality is to cultivate the heart. If your heart is shaken, you are destined to be inactive for the rest of your life. We monks will never bow down until we die. Don't forget that the blood of China is flowing in your body. No matter where you go from now on, don't embarrass China. Su Yu patted Lu Lin on the shoulder. Lu Lin nodded heavily. "Brother Su, I will keep your words in mind." Then, he bowed in the direction of Lin Zixuan. "Dean Lin, I want to return to Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy." Lin Zixuan did not hesitate, she nodded and said, "Okay, I agree. Lu Lin, practice hard in the future. I believe you will be able to achieve something in the future after this experience." Lu Lin said gratefully, "Thank you very much, Dean Lin." The students at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy saw that Lu Lin had been inspired by Su Yu to break through his cultivation level and wanted to return to his alma mater. They worship Su Yu even more. Yan Chuan's old face was so gloomy that it was about to drip with water. He sneered, "Dean Lin, it seems you are too complacent. The seven-colored Immortal Tower belongs to the Immortal Martial Academy of our imperial capital. We are only lending you the Immortal Tower for 6 days. Before I come to the state, the college will leave the Immortal Tower to me for safekeeping. During this period, I can decide all the rights to use the fairy tower." After a pause, he mocked, "Now I want to announce something. Your Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy is not qualified to use the seven-colored Immortal Tower. I will take the Immortal Tower back now. The reason why this area of your college has become a treasure land for cultivation is purely because of the seven-colored Immortal Tower. After I take away the seven-colored fairy tower, your place will be beaten back to its original shape." He pointed at Su Yu and continued, "Boy, so what if you have the qualifications of an immortal? If you don't join the Immortal Martial Academy in our imperial capital, this will be the worst decision you make in your life. From today on, you, Su Yu, will be on our academy's hit list. Must kill list." All the students present took a breath. Immortal Martial Academy's must-kill list is famous. Anyone who is on the must-kill list will become the public enemy of the entire Immortal Martial Academy. Tan Yuxin walked to Su Yu's side, her pretty face was full of worry. Immortal Martial Academy's must-kill list is no joke. Everyone who has been on the must-kill list will eventually die. Brother Su, if you really get on the must-kill list, it's very likely that a genius on the list will come and kill you. If you have any use for me in the future, just ask. Lu Lin expressed his attitude. Wang Menglu nodded and said, Su Yu, and me. I am an alchemist after all, so I always have some connections. I will do my best to help you. After Lu Lin and Wang Menglu spoke one after another. In the square, students from Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy also rushed to speak. Su Yu, you don't have to be afraid. We will support you to the end. Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy will be your strongest backing. Su Yu, you are our idol, you are our belief. If people from the imperial capital dare to step into Linzhou to kill you, we will make it impossible for them to come back. Yes, can the geniuses on the heavenly list be better than Dean Lin? Unless they shamelessly send a strong person at the level of the vice dean. After words of support for Su Yu reached Yan Chuan's ears, he did not want to stay here any longer. Dean Lin, please get out of the way. I want to take away the colorful immortal tower. You won't stop me, right? Yan Chuan stared at Lin Zixuan coldly. The students of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy looked unwilling. The aura of heaven and earth in the academy had become so rich. It was obviously the reward given by the Immortal Tower after Su Yu set foot on the 7th floor of the Immortal Martial Academy. Now Yan Chuan is about to pick the peaches. They can't swallow this breath. After Yan Chuan brings the colorful Immortal Pagoda back to the imperial capital, will the aura of heaven and earth in the Immortal Martial Academy of the imperial capital reach a higher level? Su Yu looked indifferent. Nowadays, the aura of heaven and earth in Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy maintains such a concentration, which is indeed related to the colorful fairy tower staying here. Now the core jade pendant of the Immortal Tower has been put into the storage ring by him. No one can control the Immortal Tower except him. You can't take away the colorful Immortal Tower. Su Yu said calmly. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with coldness. Dean Lin, do this boy's words represent your decision? Lin Zixuan knew that if she forcibly left the 7-color Immortal Tower, Immortal Martial Academy in the imperial capital might destroy Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy. Before, Su Yu and Lu Lin attacked Yanji, and it was Yanji's fault. If you want to occupy the 7-color Immortal Tower, the nature will be completely different. Su Yu, stop talking. Lin Zixuan glared at him. Su Yu said casually, Dean Lin, I didn't want to stop him from taking away the Immortal Tower. I just thought that if the Immortal Tower liked this place very much, it wouldn't want to leave. Yan Chuan shouted, that's nonsense. He walked towards the fairy tower. Lin Zixuan followed him to prevent him from suddenly attacking Su Yu and Lu Lin. Yan Chuan first helped Yan Ji up. This opportunity does not belong to you in Linzhou. He stared at Su Yu and continued, I want to thank you for bringing out the true role of the Immortal Tower. Our imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy, has accepted this opportunity. After saying that, he pressed his withered right palm on the fairy tower, and terrifying spiritual energy spurted out from his palm. In the past, it was easy to take away the Immortal Pagoda without spending much spiritual energy. Yan Chuan could do it alone. But a minute passed. 2 minutes passed. Until 20 minutes passed. The colorful Immortal Tower remained motionless and showed no reaction. Yan Chuan's spiritual energy was excessively consumed, and his face was filled with an expression of disbelief. How so? Why can't he take away the Immortal Tower? Immortal world is back, I am invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 18. People present felt that Su Yu was unconvinced, so they said some childish and angry words. Now that they see Yan Chuan's sweating and embarrassed look, this old guy really can't take away the Immortal Tower. Lin Zixuan's beautiful eyes flashed with brilliance. The 7-color Immortal Tower belongs to your imperial capital, Immortal Martial Academy. We at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy will definitely not take it by force. Please take away the Immortal Tower as soon as possible. Don't waste everyone's time here. When Yan Chuan heard this, he almost vomited blood in anger. After letting Yan Ji lie on the ground, he pressed both hands on the 7-colored Immortal Tower and shouted low in his throat. He is full of energy. Shrink. Shrink me. Yan Chuan gritted his teeth, his spiritual energy drained rapidly, and his legs were trembling. Dean Lin, if the Immortal Martial Academy cannot take away the Immortal Tower, they will be occupying our place. We should be charging them a fee. Do you think that's right? Su Yu said calmly. Return to Earth this time. In addition to untying the old knot and taking revenge, he has the mentality of playing in the world. When things on Earth are resolved in the future, he will choose to return to the immortal world. In the immortal world for 2,000 years, there are his brothers, apprentices and confidants. While Lin Zixuan secretly scolded Su Yu for being shameless, she said, "You are right. We at Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy don't like to take advantage of others. On the other hand, no one else wants to take advantage of us." Yan Chuan heard this. He was furious. There was a pop sound. A large mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Lin Zixuan, let's wait and see. After Yan Chuan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand, he helped Yan Ji and hurriedly walked outside the college. Lin Zixuan didn't stop her. Su Yu was too lazy to take action, if they would bring in reinforcements to provoke him again. When the time comes, Su Yu will deal with them all. When the students of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy saw that Yan Chuan failed to take away the Immortal Pagoda, they all cheered. Lin Zixuan said solemnly, about Su Yu setting foot on the 7th floor of the Immortal Tower, please don't make any announcement to the public for the time being. Only a small group of students and teachers are currently in the square. Seeing everyone nodding, Lin Zixuan continued, it's up to you to inform others about the 7-color Immortal Tower. Hurry up and enter the Immortal Tower to practice in these 2 days. She doesn't know how long the colorful fairy tower can stay here. She only knew that Yan Chuan's inability to take away the Immortal Pagoda was definitely related to Su Yu stepping onto the 7th floor of the Immortal Pagoda. The crowd present gradually dispersed. After Lu Lin respectfully greeted Su Yu, he also left the square. To rejoin Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy, he needed to go through some procedures. Lin Zixuan looked at Su Yu, and she transmitted the message into the secret again, Deng disciple, just wait for me. Don't think that because you have helped the academy, I can forgive you for being rude to me. I will settle the score with you. Finished. She left the square, probably to deal with Yan Chuan and Yan Ji's affairs. Su Yu looked indifferent. Nowadays, the Earth's laws of heaven are too weak, not only unable to withstand his true momentum, but even his divine will. If he could release his spiritual thoughts to the extreme, he wouldn't have had to use talismans to find his parents before. If he desperately releases his spiritual thoughts to the extreme, I am afraid that most people on the earth will become fools in an instant. Oops. I almost forgot something. An important person is coming to my alchemy club today. I have to wait at the entrance of the academy. Xiao Xingxin, you and Su Yu come with me, and I will introduce that important person to you. Wang Menglu pulled Tang Yuxin and ran towards the entrance of the college. Su Yu followed slowly. When she arrived at the gate of the college, Tang Yuxin received a call from her mother, Zhao Maikan. When she learned that Su Yu had been to Sun's house last night, she was stunned for a few seconds. Now she can be sure that Su Yu's cultivation level is within innate. It is said that the old man of the Sun family is only in the middle stage of innate. With Su Yu's strength, it may not be possible to really destroy the Sun family. But why did the official say that the Sun family was executed for betraying the Xia kingdom? Su Yu, Did you go to Sun's house last night? What exactly did you do at Sun's house? Tang Yuxin pulled Suyu aside. Suyu replied, Sun family. I will kill them casually. At that time, there happened to be an old man who was willing to help me wrap things up. He probably accused the Sun family of betraying the Xia kingdom. The Sun family deserves it. Tang Yuxin pursed her lips and said, Suyu, what have you experienced in the past 2 years? For your cultivation level to become so terrifying, I know you must have suffered a lot. As long as I'm here from now on, you won't have to bear so many burdens alone. I will also work hard to practice. Can you promise me not to be so impulsive in the future? If you are targeted by Umbu, you will lose myriad tribulations. Suyu just wanted to say that Umbu was nothing. Wang Menglu urged, what are you young couples mumbling about? Come here quickly, the person I'm waiting for is here. Tang Yuxin quickly pulled Suyu over. Wang Menglu whispered, did you see that Rolls-Royce driving over? The person I'm waiting for is sitting inside. He is Nijixuan's disciple, and he is currently a 1-star alchemist. Alchemist rates it from 1 star to 9 stars from low to high. As for the level above 9 stars, there is the legendary level. Although Wang Menglu officially became an alchemist, she can only be regarded as a trainee alchemist. She's not even 1 star. If you want to become a 1-star alchemist, when refining 1-star elixirs, the success rate must reach more than 50%. Nowadays, Wang Menglu has refined 1-star elixir 10 times, and only 4 of them can successfully refine the elixir. She is still a little short of a success rate of over 50%. Tang Yuxin looked serious. Suyu, Mr. Nai is the only 3-star alchemist in Linzhou. You have to be careful what you say later, so as not to offend Mr. Nai's apprentice. Behind every official alchemist, there are extremely terrifying connections. Suyu was uninterested. The black Rolls-Royce parked steadily at the entrance of the college. The driver respectfully got out of the car and opened the back seat door. An arrogant young man walked down. He is one of Nijixuan's disciples, Chengji. Soon, another well-dressed woman got out of the car. This person is Lu Na, the vice president of the Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy Alchemy Club. Menglu, I invited Mr. Cheng here for you. He is willing to condescend to come here just for your sake. After he finishes instructing the members of the Alchemy Club later, you have to accompany Cheng to miss a meal. Lu Na twisted her waist and walked towards Wang Menglu. Master Cheng, I'm sorry to bother you. Wang Menglu said respectfully. Cheng Ji waved his hand and said, as long as I do things for you, I don't find it troublesome at all. The expression on Wang Menglu's face froze. Master Cheng, please. Then, she said, Xiao Xingxin, Suyu, you guys come here together. Cheng Ji frowned and looked at Tang Yuxin and Suyu. Tang Yuxin's appearance made his eyes light up, and he said proudly, originally, laymen are not qualified to observe my alchemy refining. However, for Menglu's sake, I can let you two see the world as a way to broaden your horizons. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Immortal World is back, I am Invincible. Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 19. Tang Yuxin was very disgusted with Cheng Ji's condescension, and she frowned slightly. Wang Menglu looked displeased, and Cheng Ji's arrogance disgusted her. You two are able to watch Mr. Cheng make alchemy. This is your blessing from your previous life. Why don't you thank Mr. Cheng quickly? If Mr. Cheng is happy later, he may not reward you with the refined elixir. Lu Na didn't take Tang Yuxin and Suyu seriously at all. I'm not interested in alchemy. Watching him make elixirs can make me gain more meat. Suyu said calmly. When he was able to refine the supreme immortal level elixir in batches in the immortal world, he no longer had much interest in elixir refining. just because alchemy is no longer any challenge to him. Tang Yuxin pulled Suyu's sleeve. Although she didn't like Chengji, at least she couldn't break her face. Chengji's face changed slightly. Lu Na shouted coldly, "President, your friend is so proud. I think it's not that he's not interested in alchemy, but that he doesn't understand Mr. Cheng's alchemy at all. Master Cheng is Mr. Nai's apprentice. He is a genuine one-star alchemist. Not just any cat or dog can act arrogantly in front of him." Wang Menglu then said, "Mr. Cheng, I apologize to you on behalf of my friend, please don't be the same as him." Cheng Ji waved his hand and said, "Menglu, of course I will give you your face." Then, he looked at Suyu, "Brother, it's normal for you to want to show off in front of your woman. It's a pity that you have offended the wrong person. I am not someone you can step on." He thought that Suyu didn't want to lose face in front of Tang Yuxin, so he confronted him face to face. Suyu looked indifferent, he was just telling the truth. Lu Na said coldly to Suyu, "You should be grateful to Mr. Cheng for his generosity. In Linzhou, Mr. Cheng is a well-deserved alchemy genius. You're not even worthy of carrying his shoes." Turning around, she looked at Cheng Ji with a smile on her face, "Mr. Cheng, please come this way. There is no need for us to waste time on such a small person." Lu Na led Cheng Ji to the Alchemy Club of Linzhou Immortal Martial Academy. After Wang Menglu saw Cheng Ji and Lu Na walking away, she persuaded her, "Suyu, I know you have your own stubbornness in your heart. But you also have to distinguish the occasion clearly. Remember one thing, no matter who you offend in the future, don't offend alchemist. You never know how many strong people stand behind an alchemist. I'll find an opportunity later to ease the relationship between you and Cheng Ji. Say it." She chased after Cheng Ji and Lu Na. Tang Yuxin sighed, "Suyu, Menglu is also doing this for your own good. Of course, if you really don't want to see Cheng Ji again, let's leave now." After a short period of getting along, Suyu's impression of Wang Menglu was pretty good. He could see that Tang Yuxin and Wang Menglu were really close friends, so he casually said, "You can go and have a look." The two followed Wang Menglu. After arriving at the alchemy club, "I saw a medicinal cauldron used for making alchemy placed inside." Suyu glanced at it and saw that these medicine cauldrons were obviously made with modern technology. There are very few members in the alchemy society. After all, only a very small number of people have the alchemist talent. At this moment, a dozen members of the alchemy club all gathered respectfully around Cheng Ji. Each of them seemed to have turned into a henchman, with fawning smiles on their faces. Suyu sat down on a chair in the corner. He wanted to see what the level of alchemists on earth was like. Tang Yuxin sat next to him obediently. Cheng Ji raised his hand, "Everyone, listen to me first." The entire alchemy club fell silent instantly, and admiring eyes focused on Cheng Ji. "You can now start refining the elixir you are most familiar with. I will point out your shortcomings from the sidelines. I have something to do later, and I can only stay here for 3 hours. Everyone, hurry up and do it." Cheng Ji's words were full of arrogance. The members of the alchemy club present didn't care at all. They felt that Cheng Ji, as an alchemy genius in Linzhou, should be like this. One by one, they excitedly prepared the medicinal materials, lit the flame and began to make elixirs. Wang Menglu and Lu Na also joined the ranks of alchemy. Cheng Ji walked back and forth in the alchemy club, and from time to time he would suggest improvements to the members of the alchemy club. Of course, his focus is to take care of Wang Menglu and Lu Na. Time passes minute by minute. Most people failed to make alchemy, but they felt as if they had made progress. Only Wang Menglu succeeded in refining the elixir. What she refined was the qi condensation pill, which is a kind of pill specifically targeted at qi condensation realm monks. Under the most perfect situation, a portion of medicinal materials would not lose any medicinal power during the elixir refining process, and 10 elixirs could be refined at one time. On Earth today, no one can be perfect. In the process of refining alchemy, there will always be some loss of medicinal power. Therefore, in the alchemy world of the Earth, relying on a portion of medicinal materials to refine an elixir at one time, this rate of elixir production is called ordinary. If one medicine can be used to refine 2 pills at a time, the alchemist's pill-forming rate can be said to be excellent. If the alchemist could refine 3 elixirs at a time with one medicinal material, he would definitely be at the level of a genius in terms of elixir-making rate. As for the alchemist who can refine 4 pills at a time, very rare on Earth. Wang Menglu refined a qi condensation pill. During the process of refining it, the medicinal power of the medicinal materials was severely depleted. Cheng Ji smiled and said, "Menglu, your alchemy skills are good. I believe you will officially become a 1-star alchemist soon. Next, I will personally demonstrate to you how to refine the 1-star qi condensation pill." Lu Na and others heard this. They were caught up in excitement. Even Wang Menglu stared at Cheng Ji expectantly. No more nonsense. Cheng Ji was very skilled in the process of refining the qi condensation pill, and he always had a touch of confidence on his face. More than half an hour later, he finished refining the elixir, and there were 2 light blue qi condensation elixirs lying in the medicine cauldron. His elixir success rate has entered the realm of excellence. The members of the alchemy club present were very flattering to Cheng Ji, and they praised Cheng Ji to the sky. Wang Menglu looked envious. She had to admit that she was not as good as Cheng Ji in alchemy. Su Yu smiled and shook his head. This scene was seen by Lu Na, and she shouted at Su Yu Jiao, "Why are you laughing? Are you laughing at Mr. Cheng?" As soon as these words came out, all the members of the alchemy club looked at Su Yu with unkind eyes. They began to insult Su Yu one after another. "Trash, what qualifications do you have to laugh at Mr. Cheng? Boy, do you know what alchemy is? Kneel down and apologize to Mr. Cheng." The alchemy club was filled with shouts and curses. Cheng Ji was also a little annoyed. "Brother, Lu Na is asking you something." "What? Don't you dare to answer." Su Yu said calmly, "Wang Menglu, come here." Wang Menglu, who was secretly saying something bad, walked to Su Yu and Tang Yuxin without hesitation. No matter what, she is definitely on her best friend's side. Lu Na said arrogantly, "You're just a reptile in a stinking ditch. It's useless for you to go to our president. Why do you laugh at Mr. Cheng?" Su Yu stood up and looked at Cheng Ji. "I'm not laughing at you." Cheng Ji and Lu Na thought Su Yu was going to bow his head and submit, and disdain flashed on their faces. However, before Su Yu finished speaking, he looked at the other members of the alchemy club present. "I'm laughing at all of you. In terms of alchemy alone, you are all rubbish. Immortal world is back, I am invincible." Author, listen to the wind with your L. Chapter 20. The alchemy club suddenly became quiet. Cheng Ji, Lu Na, and others stared at Su Yu. Even Tang Yuxin and Wang Menglu looked at Su Yu in confusion. "You are all rubbish. What arrogant words this is." After the members of the alchemy club came to their senses, they clenched their fists one by one. They wanted to beat up this ignorant boy. Seeing that the situation is not good, Wang Menglu said apologetically, "Everyone, my friend drank too much this morning. He was talking nonsense just now. Don't take it to heart." Lu Na said coldly, "President, why do you want to defend this kid? How does he look like a drunk person? He was just jealous of Mr. Cheng's alchemy talent, so he made such rude remarks." Lu Na admired Cheng Ji very much, and she was even willing to be Cheng Ji's licking dog. As long as she could be with Cheng Ji, she was willing to serve Cheng Ji together with Wang Menglu. "You bitch, why don't you look in the mirror? There's nothing in your body that's as good as Cheng Xiao. You make me feel very sick. With a piece of trash like you here, the air smells bad. I now order you to apologize to Mr. Cheng and the members of our alchemy club. You must kneel down and kowtow to apologize. You can't stand up until you gain our forgiveness. Did you hear it? At the end of the sentence, Lu Na almost screamed. With her taking the lead, the members of the alchemy club were all excited. Boy, don't force us to take action. You dare to insult Mr. Cheng and our alchemy club. You simply don't know how to live or die. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what our vice president said? Kneel down and kowtow to apologize. How dare you, a waste like you, call us rubbish? Since you are so capable, why don't you refine an elixir and show it to us? Damn it, get down on your knees and apologize. Facing the curse words, Su Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. Wang Menglu, the quality of the members in your alchemy club is really poor. You, the president, are not good at managing things. Wang Menglu was very anxious. She whispered to Tang Yuxin, Xiao Xingxin, cover his mouth quickly. As soon as Tang Yuxin stretched out her hand, Su Yu dodged away. Yuxin, don't worry, I have my own sense of discretion. Tang Yuxin had a strange expression, her beautiful eyes full of worry. Is this called self-discipline now? Lu Na stared at Wang Menglu aggressively. President, whose side are you on? If you insist on having your own way, we will all quit the alchemy club. When the time comes, we will establish a new alchemy club. Anger flashed in Wang Menglu's eyes. She really couldn't figure out why Su Yu wanted to offend Cheng Ji and the others. Talking so openly will only cause trouble. Ahem. Cheng Ji coughed and said, Lu Na, don't blame Menglu. She has always been a kind person. This kid is just playing tricks. Lu Na shouted coldly, President, did you hear what Mr. Cheng said? Don't let Mr. Cheng feel chilled. Wang Menglu bit her lip tightly. Cheng Ji's eyes were fixed on Tang Yuxin. I can see that you two are boyfriend and girlfriend. Your boyfriend is a piece of shit. An incompetent idiot can easily be trampled to death. From now on, you should advise him carefully and stop being so arrogant outside. Today, for Menglu's sake, I will spare his life. Although Tang Yuxin and Su Yu are not boyfriend and girlfriend at present, she does not allow others to insult Su Yu as an idiot. Su Yu is not as miserable as you say. Tang Yuxin gritted her teeth and said. Cheng Ji shook his head mockingly and said, do you want to say that this loser really knows how to make alchemy? Are you still trying to say he's an official alchemist? A look of contempt spread on Cheng Ji's face, and he continued, I can give your boyfriend a chance to prove himself. You let him make elixirs on the spot. As long as he can refine a one-star qi condensation pill today, I, Cheng Ji, will be your slave from now on. I have given your boyfriend the opportunity, and the rest depends on whether he can grasp it. Tang Yuxin's face turned ugly for a while. In her impression, Su Yu had never been exposed to alchemy. In the past 2 years since he disappeared, Su Yu's cultivation level has advanced rapidly, and he definitely has no time to embark on the journey of alchemy. In other words, Su Yu cannot be an alchemist at all. Lu Na stared at Tang Yuxin. She was very proud. Why did you become mute? Aren't you going to stand up for your man? Wang Menglu suddenly shouted, that's enough. She took a deep breath and then said, Xiao Xingxin, you and Su Yu leave first. Let me handle the rest. Lu Na frowned and said, President, are you sure you want to make the same mistake again and again? It's easy to choose between this reptile and Mr. Cheng. With Mr. Cheng's help, you will soon be able to officially step into the ranks of a one-star alchemist. The other members of the alchemy club also started to persuade him. President, don't be confused. President, don't you admire Mr. Nai very much? As long as Mr. Cheng is willing to introduce you, you may not be able to become Mr. Nye's apprentice. President, don't make fun of your future. This arrogant boy is not worthy of you treating him like this. Wang Menglu listened to the words of the members of the Alchemy Society. She shouted sweetly, "It's my business, I know how to do it. If you want to follow Lu Na and quit the Alchemy Club, I won't stop you." Tang Yuxin blamed herself. All this is related to Suyu. Isn't it just about refining the one-star qi condensation pill? Open your eyes and watch. Suyu walked to a medicine cauldron. He didn't use the heavenly fire in his body to refine the elixir, because he was afraid of scaring these children. Pick up a portion of medicinal materials and throw them into the medicine cauldron one by one. He refined it skillfully, and the whole process was very smooth and enjoyable to watch. It's just that his refining method is completely different from Cheng Ji and others just now. At first Lu Na and the others were slightly stunned. When they saw Suyu's inexplicable alchemy technique, contempt appeared on their faces. Pretending. Lu Na sneered. Wang Menglu stood there, she wanted to take a bite of Suyu's flesh. Is it really so difficult to keep your head down for a while and feel deflated? Do you have to make yourself look like a joke to be satisfied? She also determined that Suyu could not successfully refine the one-star qi condensation pill. Cheng Ji put his hands in his trouser pockets, looking like he was watching a good show. This guy's acting skills are pretty good. Many professional actors are not as good as him. If I hadn't known how to make alchemy, I might have been deceived by him. Just a few minutes later, Suyu stopped and said, "Yuxin, let's go." Tang Yuxin thought that Suyu's refining failed, so she nodded hurriedly. The two of them walked towards the outside of the alchemy club. Cheng Ji said disdainfully, "Trash, can't you pretend anymore? Don't leave. Where did your arrogance go?" Lu Na laughed and said, "How dare you call us trash? You yourself are a joke." When she just finished speaking, a strong fragrance of elixir wafted out from the medicine cauldron used by Suyu. A member of the alchemy club walked over and took a look. He was stunned for a moment and said in a trembling voice, 10 qi condensation pills. He used a portion of medicinal materials to refine 10 qi condensation pills at once. When Wang Menglu heard this, she was the first to rush forward. Cheng Ji and Lu Na said in unison, "This is absolutely impossible." The two of them also rushed over and looked into the medicine cauldron.